There is a difference between material laws and spiritual laws. This difference is related to wisdom and knowledge. The effect of the laws of the material world does not change depending on whether we know them or not. For example, when we take medicine for an illness, it works regardless of whether we understand its composition. Similarly, the sun shines whether or not we comprehend why it emits light. Intention in matters related to the material world is also not significant. For instance, taking throat medicine to heal the stomach will not cure the stomach. Our knowledge and intention do not influence the material world itself. They influence our approach to it. However, this is not the case in spiritual matters. The more we understand the wisdom of spiritual laws, the stronger their effect becomes. For example, there is a difference between those who know the wisdom of prayer and those who do not. In the first case, prayer is more impactful. In the second, it is less so. There is also a difference between praying sincerely for God and praying to show off. Prayer doesn't leave the same effect on everyone. As our knowledge grows and our intentions become purer, the positive impact of the spiritual realm increases. Because prayer is the foremost among acts of worship, it is most fitting to use it as an example. Prayer affects all areas of the soul. It's even stated in the Qur'an that prayer prevents one from indecency. But for prayer to have a more positive effect on us, we must both know the wisdom of prayer and have a specific intention. We know that prayer is a good deed, brings us closer to Allah, and is a divine command. We have general ideas about its wisdom and general intentions. But if we know precisely why we pray and understand which part of the soul it affects, and if our intentions are also specific, the prayers we perform will be much more beneficial. The main goal of all worship is to suppress the nafs. In spiritual matters, we must know beforehand what we are doing and why, and adopt the correct approach. That is why God invites us to reflect so deeply. Thinking and knowledge enhance the benefits of religion for humanity. There is no need to perform deeds blindly. Life should not be lived thoughtlessly. We must know why we live, why we worship, and why we avoid sin. We apply our thinking in family and household matters, personal issues, financial affairs, education, and work. We make plans, learn what is correct and optimal, but we do not approach spiritual matters in the same way. We should bring this same attention and thoughtfulness to spiritual subjects. There are many worshipers and believers. The vast majority of people have faith, but few think about spirituality. Religion does not encourage being carried along by the flow. Such an approach to religion can have the opposite effect. Religion encompasses multifaceted topics and cannot be approached simply or superficially. God has given us the capacity to think, and He will ask how we used it. We use this capacity to improve the world. Why not use it to enliven our spirituality? The Qur'an is God's final word to humanity. It contains everything humanity needs. Do we reflect on the Qur'an in proportion to its majesty? Do we understand its verses? Do we comprehend what God expects from us? The Holy Qur'an was sent in the last 10 days of the blessed Ramadan. It is recommended to keep vigil during these nights. One of the most virtuous acts of worship on these nights is contemplating religion. These acts of worship also carry symbolic significance. Staying awake to reflect on religion and praying to Allah about destiny signifies that a Muslim should approach the Qur'an with awareness. One must reflect on it and bind their fate to it. Even if we go to sleep after contemplating the Qur'an, our sleep becomes worship. A wise person who sleeps is superior to one who performs night worship without understanding why. It's said in hadiths that little action with thought is better than many actions without thought. There are people who recite prayers all day, perform recommended worships, but don't understand what they're doing. They generally intend to get closer to Allah but merely go through the motions. A person who is content with few obligatory worships and spends their energy on thinking is far superior. For the soul, little worship by a wise person is more effective than much worship by an unwise person. Humanity is defined by its ability to think. We should not accustom ourselves to relying on others to think for us. A Muslim society that becomes a community of thinkers will gain strength. Therefore, the enemies of Allah no longer wage physical wars against spiritual people as they did in the past. Today, the most powerful weapon is tying people's faith to traditions and depriving them of opportunities to think. The goal is to weaken and subdue them on the field of jihad. However, a person who conquers their nafs is truly worthy of celebration. About this, in the next episode.